things I like about the conventions is that people make friends with each other, you know, and some of them even get married. Oh, no. Oh, wait, how does that just stand up? I don't know if you can see this t-shirt. Have you rehearsed this? Just lean forward with. Can you take a picture of who's your daddy? Isn't that magical? So now you know it wasn't Alec Guinness, it was Darth Vader, little Anakin Skywalker. And then, of course, you're going to say, because you're clever, you remember things, but Anthony, you're going to say, the puppet C-3PO didn't appear in episode 2. Stimmt. Correct. Das ist correct. Oder nicht?
Oder nicht.
Does anybody remember episode 2? I'm terribly sorry. Okay, there was no puppet. He was in episode 1. In episode 2, 3PO was the rusty version, made by Justin Dix. He painted a gold suit, a rusty. So 3PO is the same, but that's not how it started. Originally, I had the puppet on me. Puppet attached at the feet, at the knees, at the waist, at the chest, the shoulders, the head. Very cumbersome. His face straight in front of mine, so I couldn't see who I was talking to. But the first scene I had practiced, I stood up, I could manipulate his arms, all to be photoshopped afterwards. I stood there, I practiced walking, it was difficult. And then we get to the scene with Padme. It's at night. And 3PO is sitting down. I've only rehearsed standing up. Oh well. So we had to have me sitting down in a ring. And so it happened that on action, Padme walks in. She's arrived just now with her boyfriend, Anakin. They met Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. And 3PO is sitting there in the night, and she comes in and she says, "Can't you sleep either, 3PO?" "Oh, I don't sleep. I occasionally switch off for a while." "Are you happy here, 3PO?" "Well, I'm not unhappy, it's just that, well, just being like this." "Like what, 3PO?" "Well, naked, if you'll pardon the expression." And 3PO went on to explain that for the last many years, he had been on this planet, unclothed because young Anakin had to go away and become a Jedi. But he was sure that the Master would return. And you could see the sadness on his face. You understood that as a protocol and etiquette expert, to be standing and serving canapes with no clothes on was a cruel fate. "Oh, but wait a minute," says Padme. "There's a box of coverings right here." Now, the garage was only about yay big. I mean, 3PO had lived there for 16 years and never noticed there was a box of coverings here. We didn't know he was that stupid. Right, and she Natalie picked up a chest piece and put it on 3PO. And then we cut away. And when we cut back again, there was 3PO, fully clothed, except his face was in Natalie's hand. And as she came forward, Don Bees, who used to look after me, had put fridge magnets all around 3PO's face, back of his head, and managed to put the face on. And there was 3PO, for the first time in his existence, complete. And he was ecstatic. And so was Padme. And in comes Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, and they're so pleased that there is 3PO. Oh, so beautiful, little Rusty himself. It was a beautiful, sad, touching scene. It showed you the inside of 3PO, both literally with the wires and emotionally, that life for him, existence for him was a little cruel. It was beautiful, it was touching. George cut out the whole sequence. There was no time for something as moving as that. We had to go and kill sound people. And so then, I put on the rusty suit and repeated every scene that I had done in the rusty suit. And I was on green screen by myself, remembering where people had been so I could give eye lines. But then For the last time, I wore the costume, the puppet, before we made him rusty, in the downstairs at the homestead. I said, can we make the floor smooth? It's a bit rocky. Oh, difficult. I did 5 takes with the puppet, perfectly, introducing everybody to everybody. 5 takes. Now it's my close-up. Same thing, but camera's nearer me. I step forward, my foot, or his foot, hit a rock. The floor wasn't smooth. It hit a rock, and within half a second, bang, I had smashed down onto the rock floor. I lay there in shock. The silence around me was huge. I wiggled my toes. They still moved. I hadn't broken my back. Now I hear Don B shouting from there, "Are you okay?" He's running. He's running, he's with me now. Other voices are coming closer. And they pick me up carefully. And I'm still, Don has taken me out of the costume. The costume is lying on the floor. I'm now standing up with, because I was shocked. I had just crashed down without the ability to protect myself onto a rock floor. I'm shocked. I look down at 3PO. Now I'm doubly shocked, because I had smashed the whole of this side of the unique, the one and only puppet in the world, let alone the Tunisian desert. 3PO lay there, smashed. The plastics crushed. And Don said, well, it's your close-up. He took wire snips and he cut the whole costume in half. And he rested the top half on me, as per normal, my hands holding the sticks, and it was my close-up. Uncle Harry, may I present so-and-so? It was so much easier than wearing the whole costume. It was magic. But I did feel bad. And of course, they were able to repair the puppet in the future. It's in an exhibit somewhere around the world. But I did feel very sensitive towards my friend. And I think we talked about a little bit about why you connect with him, why we connect with R2 and 3PO, because they are like us. And it took a long time for me to kind of understand what it was that everybody sees in these films, because I'm in them. Then I did a concert series, Star Wars in Concert. Anybody see that in Germany when we came? The best job I ever had. Me on a stage, way bigger than this, 90-piece symphony orchestra, 100-piece choir, huge screen, telling bits of the story beautifully to picture. And night after night, dressed a bit like this, I would tell the story. I loved it. And one of the remarkable things was in an auditorium that might have 25,000 people in it. Some had 5,000 people. We did it around the planet. Every night, I would stand on stage and I would feel the warmth. I would feel the adoration of what we were seeing on screen, what we were hearing of John Williams' music. I would feel the affection of the fans for John, for George Lucas, for the movies, a little bit for me. It made me see what I'd missed all the years. You see the films a different way. You have helped me to see it that way. I thank you very much.